Welcome to the Town of Victor Zoning Board of Appeals. We'll call the meeting to order and start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first thing, I'd like to declare Larry necessarily absent. And a few housekeeping matters. The emergency exits are off to the side as well as through the lobby area and then to the right and left. Restrooms are in the lobby area. If you haven't done so already, please sign the attendance sheet. Our business cards at the back table next to the sign-in sheet, which you're welcome to. Also at the back table is a copy of the proposed resolutions along with the agenda. To turn off your cell phones or silence them so as not to disturb the meeting. Also, if you have any conversations that are not related to the present application, please take it out in the hallway. All right, other things as far as exhibits go. If you have exhibits that you already have submitted, just let us know and we'll bring them up on the screen. If you have new ones, let us know that they're new so we can mark them accordingly. When you're talking about exhibits, just be as specific as you possibly can about compass direction, structures, instead of saying things like, well, if you notice over here, if you notice over there. That's hard to translate when we look at the minutes, what over here and over there means. So as specific as you can. What we would also appreciate is if we don't talk over each other. So if someone on the board is asking a question, wait for the question to be finished, and vice versa. When you're speaking, we'll wait for you to be finished speaking. Amber's job, I think, just a little bit easier. Next, I would entertain a motion for approval of the May 20th, 24 minutes. If you need time to review them, let me know if you're ready.
Motion to approve.
And a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Maybe because I wasn't here last week. All right, mobile graphics.
Good evening, Chris Bailey.
Yeah, we're bringing you back here because there was a bit of a, I don't want to quite tell you a typo, but due to the second floor and not calculating that into the total square footage, the resolution had approved for 5,040 square feet, and you have an additional square footage that would bring it up to 5,638, and that's all on the square footage on that second floor, right?
598, correct.
598. So what we need to do, if you'd like to make a little presentation, that's fine, but we have to do this kind of a two-step process. As we already have a resolution, what we need to do is hear why that is, why you need it, and the board then would have to vote on whether or not we're going to consider reopening the resolution, make an amendment, and then vote on it again. So it's a two-step process.
Okay.
So unless there's something else you want to add, I think it's basically what the board had originally thought was when we looked at the footprint, which was 5,040 feet, we didn't take into account that second square footage. Is that, in a nutshell, that's what it is? You're not changing the square footage, you're not changing the footprint, you're not changing anything of what the original resolution approved, other than the miscue of not counting in that second floor square footage.
Yes, correct. We did have several discussions. The last meeting here, it was in the minutes that we talked about the mezzanine and the bathroom, and like I said, it was several conversations. I myself, taking on roles, being a GC that doesn't have all the knowledge of the paperwork and how things need to be submitted, I've been relying on other people to help me with that, and we seem to all miss that calculation that needed to be added to the drawing. And it has pushed us back in a lot of ways, but I understand that's something we missed, so we're trying to resurrect it and reenact.
Right. Anyone have any questions before we take a vote on whether or not we should open the resolution that was approved? Give me 1 second.
It was revised January 16th, 2024.
So the January 16th, 2024 resolution. Fred, do you have any questions?
No.
Matt?
No questions.
Leah?
No question.
All right. I would entertain a motion then to open the approved resolution for further discussion on amending the resolution that we approved back in January.
Motion.
Like that.
All right, thank you. Matt, Fred, you going to second that?
I'll make it second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. So, got it. Anything else you want to add, or does anyone have any questions, Fred, about what we need to do here? And I think Chris is right here. If you go back and look at the minutes, we were pretty thorough about what that footprint looked like, what you were going to do. There was a second floor. You had all the drawings locked and loaded. We just didn't have that number extra. 598 square feet. Fred, any further questions?
No.
Matt? Nope. Leah?
No.
Okay, I don't. Any opposition, comments from the board, from the public, for, against? No. Good. All right, then what we can do is, I think all we need to do is just add the 598 square feet for the total of 5,638 square feet.
Second page.
The second page, this would be 3C. We need to add then 2,619 plus 5. We're going to add on 598 to the 2,619.
I come up with 2718.
2718?
2718, no?
There's a
2717?
2619.
Yes, 2717.
2619 and 598.
I'm going to open up
2717.
Excel.
No, you're right, it's 2717.
Okay. Sound good, Chris?
Sounds good, yes.
Right, we're all on the same page with that? Right, any further amendments to the January resolution? 2 spots we're going to change. First, whereas,
And 3C.
1,638. Okay, sound good? Everyone on the same page? Good.
Yes.
All right, entertain a motion for amending the resolution as indicated, where the first whereas 5,638, and then in paragraph 3C, instead of 2,619, it will be 2,717.
Motion.
Entertain a motion for approval. Leah, thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thanks so much for your patience.
Thank you.
Good luck in your project.
All right.
Kennedy, come on up. You'd like a fence? Tell us about your project.
I would like a fence. So in 2016, my wife and I built what we hope to be our forever home. It's our first home. We selected a corner lot. We were, the corner lot had an appeal to us at that point in time. Little did we know, 8 years ago, the restrictions that are in place in the corner lot, nor did we really understand what that rectangle that goes diagonal across the backyard really meant. Fast forward to now, we've been blessed with 3 children. We've got a 3-year-old daughter, and then we've got a pair of twin boys that'll turn 1 next month. And
Can I just stop you 1 second?
Yes, sir.
What I'd like to do is, can you pull up the criteria? Okay, there's a criteria for the area variance. You did fill out the responses to it. We appreciate that.
Yep.
And what I'd like to focus on, if you look at all those 5 criteria, there's nothing in there about safety. You can kind of mention it a little bit, but
Sure.
we've had this issue before a little bit with other applicants that they've stressed too hard on safety. There's no element of safety in there.
Okay.
So if you can gear your presentation more towards those elements there, the criteria,
Sure.
I think we're going to go a lot smoother here.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
I guess along with the safety aspect would be the privacy thing, right? So as far as an undesirable change, I think what we're requesting fits in within our neighborhood. Throughout our entire neighborhood, there's plenty of 6-foot vinyl fences, privacy fences that are there. Specifically with what we're trying to do and almost mimic is directly across the street. So one of the exhibits that we provided for you is 6430 Erica Trail. So that's the corner lot that's located directly across the street. Also went on to Encore, and I was able to pull up what looks to be their setback based on the Phase 2 plans that were there, and then did a measurement distance from the corner of their fence to the sidewalk. I spoke with that homeowner directly. His directive when he went to the town board and applied for his building permit was to stay 10 feet off the sidewalk. And that was about the extent of that process for him. So that's kind of where we were at and why one of the reasons why we focused or looked to expand to that. And the other thing is really just space-wise. So looking at our lot size altogether, it's 1/3 of an acre lot. The area that we're proposing to fence in, we would be 13 feet off the sidewalk. So that's the 30 feet from the center line plus 10 feet for the utility right-of-way, which would put us 13 feet off the sidewalk. The total area that we're trying to fence in per the proposal is like 0.15 acres. So it's already not a very big space. If we are restricted by the drainage easement, it would reduce us by 40% to our for our total space. And if we're restricted by the setback and not able to extend closer to Erica Trail, it would actually drop the reduction by 53%. And then we start to get into kind of that position of whether or not it's even, the cost benefit, feasibility with just the size of the enclosure and the restrictions that are there. So that's why we've proposed that place is there. And again, kind of mimicking what's directly across the street, I think it fits into the neighborhood as far as that goes.
All right, just a couple of notes before I let the board ask some questions. Is the nuance that you're working with and everyone else has a corner lot is the requirement that no structure is to be forward of the front line of the home. Corner lots, how the law's written, we didn't do it, it's where the street is. So it's both where your front door is, as well as, in your case, it's going to be...
Erica Trail.
Right, Louise Way. So you have to work with, that fence, per code, really needs to be parallel to or in line with the side of the home. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's how the law's written. All right, you understand, at least that part?
Yeah, I understand that, and that's why we're seeking that variance.
Right, so you need 2 variances here. One is because of it's the fence on Louise Way that's beyond the side of your home, as well as you need a variance for being in the drainage easement.
Correct.
Okay. So, we're on the same page with that. Fred, do you have questions?
Well, there are a lot of fences in that area. I don't know about the one across the street, but they all look like the handout here, from a distance anyway.
There's
I
actually,
think it fits within the character of the neighborhood, just easy for me to vote for it. I'm done.
Matt, questions?
So quick one. So across the street, it's 6430. Is that the one that's pictured?
yes, sir.
And that one has a variance today?
So he actually didn't have to go through the variance process, which was interesting. When he came down here to apply for his permit, they told him just keep it 10 feet off the sidewalk, and they granted his permit.
I can't speculate. I think what's going on there, it's an assumption, is that Banjo Run, at the time he put it up, it's not a dedicated road. There's nothing, it's a dead end over there, right? There's no homes.
So that's the second example that I didn't mention. The 6443 Erica Trail borders Banjo Run. He's in the same spot. He's about 16 feet off of that. I understand that could be classified a private drive. The 6430 Erica Trail is directly across the street from me, and it borders Louise Way.
Okay, all right, then, all right, I get it now. Okay. Yeah, then why he didn't need a variance is, I'm going to say curious.
Sure, and at the end of the day, like, I guess I'm not trying to throw stones or you know, be combative about it. That's just kind of the example. We looked at his fence and said, all right, if we can do that in our backyard, we can develop a usable space that's safe for our kids, gives us a little bit of privacy when they're running around. Right now, we set up a kiddie pool in the backyard, and everybody's out swimming, and my neighbors are sitting on their front porch and just kind of taking in the view, so.
Is there a drawing of your fence that you're looking to propose? I haven't seen anything in our package of the actual.
Was it part of the original package that I sent in? It should have been with the building permit. I've got a copy here, essentially. I can walk it up so you can see it.
Yeah, please.
Or is it, like, it must be.
No, actually, it's what's on the screen right there.
Yeah.
So essentially, it comes off, on the Erica Trail side, it would come off the back corner, head straight towards Erica Trail, until it hits the Argini easement, which again is 13 feet off the sidewalk. And then it would follow back to the property corner. My goal would be within a foot of the property line, and then proceed to the other property corner down, and then level off back against the side of the house. I guess in regards to the drainage easement, because I know that that's a challenging one too, my original proposal was to put a 10-foot gate on the Erica Trail side, because my hope was to be able to get a vehicle back there. So I don't mind putting that in the area of that drainage easement that's there. And then if it's any easier, and I did talk with Mark Years earlier this afternoon via the phone, he's out of the office. I asked him, you know, would it be easier if I put a gate on the other side? He didn't have enough information really to comment whether he supports the variance or he was against the variance. What he did tell me was it's all plastic piping that's back in there. So if they do need to get in there, it's for probably a general clean out, which should be handled by a mini excavator. And he said a 10-foot gate would be no issue for a mini excavator. So I'd be willing to put a gate on both sides, which would allow the town access if they needed to come through. I also stated in my narrative, and I'll repeat it here, I'm willing to take on any financial liability that comes with it. If the town needs to get through and we need to remove some section of fencing, vinyl fencing comes apart, right? If you break a section, you can replace the section. So if we need to disassemble fencing or pull a post so the town can get through, I'll fill out whatever paperwork and sign whatever we need to grant the town access to that and release them from any liability associated with that. For us, I think that the potential that that's actually going to happen compared to the financial risk and the benefit of the fence for our family, I think that it's well worth the risk for us.
If I understand you right, that if one of the conditions, if this board decides that a condition is that you sign a hold harmless agreement, just with the fence and the drainage issue, you'd be willing to sign that?
Yes, sir.
Right, Matt, other questions?
Yep. So I counted about somewhere between 8 or 9, I guess, depending on it, corner lots, right, in the development. Other than the one that's questionable, but we know it doesn't have a variance, it doesn't seem like any of the other ones have, right?
The only two in the neighborhood were that one and then the one that borders Banjo Run. At one point in time, I'd actually sat down, and I didn't bring that listing because I didn't think it would be appropriate to bring that to you guys today. At one point, I sat down and went through like the entire town and found like a dozen different properties that have fences, but I don't know the details on them, and that doesn't have anything to do with the characteristics of our neighborhood. I felt that the example directly across the street and then the one down the street on Banjo Run would hopefully be enough to represent what's happened in our neighborhood. And
I think to Mike's point, though, Banjo Run is not a street, or do we know if
It's the name of a street, but I don't know if
Right.
if the town has accepted dedication to it.
Okay. I mean, the only thing I would like to know is if there's a variance in the neighborhood. There really is nothing unique about your property. I lived on a corner lot in Victor for 18 years with 2 kids, a cat and dog, and all that stuff. And safety and privacy is just, that's the only thing. You know, often there's a stream, you know, in someone's backyard, and you can't put a fence there, and so you can, you know, weigh that a little differently and provide you to go forward to the front line of your home, maybe, right? Because you can't utilize your backyard. Maybe it's too steep, or there's something unique about the property, other than just safety and privacy, which I understand are important to you, but they're not criteria that we use to provide a variance for anything. Otherwise, everyone would be in front of us talking about safety and privacy, and if they felt safer or additional privacy, if that was a criteria, then everyone would get what they want. So I'm only struggling with what's really unique to your situation, other than I just want it because I want to, you know, encapsulate more of my property, and I understand why you want to do it in the fence, but other than just safety and privacy, I don't really have much to go on.
so, I mean, those are the reasons why I want a fence. The reasons why I'm asking for the variance is strictly because of the size restrictions, given the setback, the front setback, and then the.
No, but the restrictions that existed prior to you owning the home can't be a reason for needing a variance, right? They are the reason why you would need a variance, but you need some other kind of outside influence other than, hey, the law doesn't allow me to have a fence here, so I just want one. That's all. And I'm struggling with what that is. So it's really those 3 things: the safety and privacy, something beyond that, what's unique to the property that would drive a variance, and then again, of all the other 7 or so corner lots, if there is an instance of a variance, then yeah, I'd be interested in knowing what it is and why we approved it, and certainly then that could be something that maybe opens the door. But again, every application kind of stands on its own here, but.
So I think maybe something else that I hope you might take into consideration is the positioning of that drainage easement that's there. There's another exhibit that I passed along earlier today. That's the Phase 2 site plan, and on it, I highlighted all of the access points, essentially, and that was how Mr. Years referred to the pass-through on our property. I highlighted all those access points, and all of those access points follow property lines. Traditionally, they follow property lines. They don't cross directly across. The one where you see, the one that I'm servicing crosses the back, but that's where the actual storm drains are. Mine is just that street access. For whatever reason, when the engineers put this together, obviously, they don't like to put manholes in people's driveway. If they would have just taken the house across the street and just flipped the layout, put the driveway on the other side, then they could have had the manhole in the yard, and the drainage easement could have run right down the property line like it does every other easement that's in the neighborhood. So that's, I guess, a unique challenge that I have. It's not Yeah, the privacy security is what I want, the size restrictions that are there, but this is, to me, it's an engineering hardship that now we're trying to deal with,
if
because
we
it's
were-
not just, if it was running across the back of my property line, I could fence to within 10 feet of my back property line, I'd have a good usable space, but right
That speaks
now,
to your second variance, so you've really asked for both, right? You've asked for the two variances Mike was talking about, one to go into the drainage easement and the other to be forward of the front line of the home.
yes, sir.
And so I think I'll agree with you that on the drainage easement, you have something unique there, right, obviously. It did pre-exist you buying the home, but, I mean, that's something we could take, I could take into consideration for the second one. It doesn't really help you with the closer to the road, right, to the forward of the front line.
Yeah, I don't know how to contest that. Literally, like I said, literally across the street it's there. So
Unless you came here and said, here's the variance for it, it sounds like it doesn't have.
there
one.
wasn't a
So we-
variance. I mean, I think that you guys would have all that stuff on file. If you pulled a permit for that, you'd see that you didn't ask for one.
Right. So it's not us that asks for permits or provides permits, right? When someone comes for a permit, they don't come in front of us, they get in front of the code enforcement officer.
Yes,
So
sir.
I mean, we can bring them in here and we can talk to them about it, if we really need to. But, you know, as the applicant, it's kind of up to you to let us know, like, hey, there is another variance within our development, not just say, hey, someone over there has got something, go figure it out, you know.
Just jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's happened before. People build stuff without building permits and getting variances, and then we have to go back after the fact to say, where's your building permit? Where's the variance? And there's like, oops, it's that shoot first and ask questions later.
Sure.
So what we know right now is there doesn't appear to be a variance. And you're telling us that your neighbor applied for a building permit and got it. You don't have that documentation to say that all those pieces that you're saying are true and accurate. I'm not suggesting you're lying, but it's.
Nope.
It's just, it's a little foggy to try and have us figure out what's going on.
And
The-
then, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, sorry. Part of the intent of the code, I think, of that law, code that says you can't put structures forward of your front line of your home is really obstructions. So if you imagine then a fence being forward of the front of your home and people driving by, and especially people going in and out of your driveway, you create an obstruction, and I'm going to break my rule a little bit here and say it's a bit of a safety issue. You're going to cause problems by not being able to see. How it is that 6430 Erica Trail has that fence on a curve is, again, curious to me. It's like, boy, if you're, granted, it's the right-hand side of the road, but if you're now coming, I don't know, compass direction this off the top of my head. If you're coming the other way, potentially that's an obstruction, and you can't quite see all the way down those homes. In your case, this would be vehicles traveling in a westerly direction going out of the neighborhood. Is there enough room so that if that fence is permitted to be there, be a variance, could it cause any kind of obstruction? I'm not quite there yet, I don't know, but I think having that sidewalk there helps you in your favor, that there is some decent room between the road, traffic, and where you want to put the fence. And even though it's forward of that side, forward, I really,
Yeah,
I don't like the quirk in that law, but that's just what we're working with.
yeah.
But I don't think it's really creating an obstruction in your case.
I'm trying to, so we'd be 13 feet off the sidewalk. The sidewalk's 4 feet, 4.5, so it's 17, plus there's probably another 8 feet of grass on the other side. It's 3 mower passes. So that's 10 feet before we hit the gutter. So we're looking at 27, almost 30 feet off the road itself. So from a visibility aspect, I can respect what you're saying, but I don't think that it will pose that kind of safety hazard. If the sidewalk wasn't there and I had the ability to encroach further, or I was proposing to encroach further, then I can definitely see that, but.
I'm sorry, I cut you off, Manny. Do you have other questions?
Nope, I'm all set.
Leah?
If you you mentioned earlier that if you didn't apply for the variance and you built the fence where you wouldn't need the variance, it would reduce your backyard by approximately 40 to 50%, taking everything into consideration. So if you were to build that fence without applying for the variance, how far would that fence setback be from the road? Because you mentioned now it's approximately 30 feet?
Yeah, roughly be about 30, because 13 plus the
Right.
4, so about 30. You would be back another 25 feet.
So
I'd be
additional
I'd be
25.
55 feet off the road. Because my setback on that side is, I'm sorry, it's 30, so I'd be 50 feet. 'Cause the setback is 30 feet from the property line, which is 3 feet off the sidewalk, and 30 feet from the center line of the road, essentially. So I guess the other things, I had done the square footage really to try and figure out feasibility and what it would look like. I think if I was to follow the code without seeking a variance, it would be a 53% reduction. It's like 0.07 acres is what it comes out to, and it really becomes an abnormally shaped area. It'd really be too small. For us, I don't think it would be feasible for us to invest in such a small space. But I have it actually highlighted here. If you'd like me to bring it up, I could show you the shape of what that would look like. But I didn't present this as an exhibit because this isn't the proposal that we were hoping to do. But if you wanted to see it, I can bring it up so you can see the shape.
Yes, yes.
So to my understanding, that would be with the current code, and then what's up on the board there is what we're presenting with, or what we're requesting with both variances.
Mike, I just want to ask you, if he entertained putting up some hedges, it would still be the same restrictions, correct?
No, it's not landscaping's not a structure.
No. So that was my other question. Have you considered putting up some hedges or, you know, some taller hedges? Because some of them, I can't remember the name of those type of hedges. but
Arborvitae's.
Yes, thank you.
We have a
Because
row.
they,
Fine.
you know, they grow very close together.
Yeah. We have a row of arborvitae's across the back right now. That was what we originally had attempted, and then with the kids, and that's why we went for that. We've considered landscaping, have definitely considered landscaping, significantly cheaper than a fence. Don't have to apply for building permit to plant a tree. Talked with my neighbor a little bit, who's an engineer, I think, for MRB, and I believe he sent in some correspondence on this. He talked to me a bit about the process when he got the postcard, and his comment to me was he works generally with Farmington and Canandaigua, and he said usually fences for what we're requesting, not normally an issue. He said what they don't want is landscaping, because people start putting trees and then the roots start to get into the infrastructure and the utilities and everything else that's there. So I guess that would be even more challenging if I was to put landscaping up along the Erica Trail side to get that privacy, security, that aspect. Now, if the town needed to come in, it would potentially be a lot more work than just opening up
But
a
aren't the
gate.
current arborvitae's already in the easement?
There's probably one or two at the very end. Other than that, the arborvitae's run that back property line behind that drainage easement. So yeah, if I went up, then they would be in the drainage easement, which would be unfortunately more of a headache.
Do
Okay.
they look like 5-foot-tall deer feed?
Yeah, the one on the end. The deer loves the one on the end, as long as they keep eating that one.
That's all I have.
All right, let's look at the dimensions here, because I don't see anything on which I'm looking at the instrument survey map.
Okay.
So if I look at the south line, this would be the fence that is on your neighbor's property to the south that would run east and west.
Opposite of Erica Trail.
So, right, that, right there, on the south piece.
Yep.
How long is that?
I estimated that to be about 78 feet. I actually took a piece of paper and used the 20-foot easement as a ruler and then marched it across. So
Right.
I got 78 feet.
So for argument's sake, the section of fence on the north where you'd like to have it is approximately 78 feet as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I'd like to imagine is if on the south side, you have a piece of fence that would be to the west, and it's a section of fence that's going to be about 10 and a half feet.
Yes, sir.
Agree with that, right about there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you do the same over there to the north side, if it was 10 and a half feet, and then you would, if you run it then east and west, I'm curious if that would be acceptable to you, and what I really would like to know is if that fence structure was there, how much space would you have in that backyard?
That's the one calculation that I didn't do.
Because what I'm really struggling with when you say, by putting the fence up that's permitted by the code, you have an unusable space that would be to the north of the fence. And all due respect, not buying it. You still got to mow it, you can play in there, you can swing a golf club, play croquet, whatever you want to do over it, you can use it. Now, to use it to the way exactly how you want to use it and have your kids in a fenced-in area, I can understand that, but it's still usable. So this goes to the element of an alternative, a feasible piece on when a variance is granted, a zoning board is required to give the least amount possible. So if it were to mirror what you have on the south side of the home, and if the board then decides, you know what, I think that size of the yard, fenced-in area, if you had a 10 and a half section on each side of the home, this would be to the east, on the north side and east side, and then run that fence all the way back, you still have to deal with that easement issue. It's separate. I'd like to know what you think about that, if that's now, still a deal breaker, it's like, maybe we could live with that. And we've had applicants too say, could I have some time to think about that? You absolutely can. You can take a few minutes, you can say, we want to come back next time and give it some serious thought, kind of live back there with it. You have some options. I'd like to know what you think about it.
Yeah, we'd probably need to talk about that, I
Okay,
suppose.
that's all I'm asking, just to think about it. It's fair
Yeah.
enough. I think is it your engineer friend, Lance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we do have a note from him, and it's indicating that, they don't have any concerns with it, so that would be in your favor. And I would also have to ask, it seems obvious, but does anyone from the public want to speak for or against the application?
You want to stand up and speak?
You got anyone online?
No, anyone online? No, all right. So at least you have one in your favor. So while you're thinking about that, Fred, how does that sit with you if the board decides, mirror it so it's 10 and a half feet on either side of the home? This would be to the north side, then running east and west, and then on the south side, 10 and a half feet, which you can run it right along the property line. Your thoughts on that?
I'd have to see it staked out.
Okay, Matt?
I can support that. I can't support it as proposed. I'm okay with going into the easement in the back with the whole harmless agreement signed. But I think a good compromise and that I can't support is the 10 and a half feet on either side. I think that, or on the
Leah?
side forward of the street.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, what's your time frame on this? Other than saying yesterday to us, 'cause-
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not something that needs to be done tomorrow,
Right.
so we,
I would ask, because it sounds like the board would be interested in, since we really don't have, and it makes the board uncomfortable when you say, it's about 78 feet.
sure.
So if you stake it out, now we have some visuals to look at. Put them, if it's 10 and a half feet, where I'm proposing let's take a look at it, and then run a couple of stakes along, as straight as you can. I don't care, put orange flags or something, so at least we can see what the thing looks like. And we'll drive by, and we'll have a better visual. We know what 6 feet looks like, and is it going to be any obstacles or obstructions? And how does it really look? Is it going to fit in the character of the neighborhood? And in the meantime, we're going to try and figure, well, we will. How is it that your neighbor across the street, did he have a building permit? Was there variance? How did that get to where it is today?
Yeah, I would say, would you guys be willing to, if you do look that up, would you be willing to consider allowing us to kind of go forward with the same proposal? If in fact that, he followed the appropriate process and had a permit blessed and,
We'll take it into consideration, because it's, every piece of property is different, and we're taught and trained, there really isn't you don't set precedent. Just because your neighbor has it doesn't mean that you can have it, because each property is unique, it looks different, you're on different sides of the road, and there's a whole other set of factors, and it's that criteria that we look at.
yep,
Certainly what we don't want to keep doing is creating more and more problems, that, is there going to be more obstructions? Is everyone going to want a fence? I know it's a unique whole development. I've been in there. There's corner lots and curves, and it looks nice. It's not cookie cutterville, so it's into your favor. So yeah, we'll take it into consideration.
can I stake the proposed with one color and
Oh, yeah,
what's
sure,
your recommendation
sure.
on
No,
another? So
sure.
do you have the opportunity to view both?
Yeah, I think it should be obvious which is which.
Okay.
Just take one color where you'd like it to be, and then where we're asking it to be, and we can take a good look at it. It's a good idea.
And then call Amber when it's ready.
Okay.
Sound good? Any questions? Good? Anyone else, questions? All right, then we will see you on, was it the
The
17th?
17th.
Yeah, see you the 17th.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for yours.
Anyone have anything else before the board? Needs discussion?
Where's that application for County Route 9 and 251?
The ones we saw last time will be back next meeting, after county comments.
The county hasn't got to them yet.
But they're not doing the small stuff anymore. Less than 5 lots.
They still require the variance to be sent.
Are they doing 5 or not?
Are they doing,
The comments back on one of them, I forget which one, said they're not going to monkey with it under 5 lots.
Yep, if it doesn't require a variance. So it's different for planning board and zoning board. Although it's just 3 lots, they still want to see it because it requires a variance for density.
Oh. Guess I missed that part.
anything else?
I'm all set.
Okay, good to go. Motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Motion.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Great, thanks so much. Have a good night.